people always say, well, why is there no one good running for president? Why is there no one good running for prime minister? And you and I both know people who would make great presidents and prime ministers, and in some cases have even been asked to. And they don't want anything to do with it because they see what a dumpster fire politics is and how impossible it is to have good, meaningful conversations in the public space. And so they say, not for me, I'm going to stick to business. And so we're left in the public space with people who are so, in most cases, so hungry for power or attention that they are willing to plunge into that mess, no holds barred.
I think that's beautifully put, Bryce. And I think one of the things that you've always said, and I greatly appreciated it, is even in Ali Mullally's case, and I think your book, The American Icon, is one of the best business books I've ever read.
Thank
I love
you.
it. And it read like a novel, and it was what attracted me to you in the first place, is that Alan went through a very vulnerable time. And when he went to the Senate and he realized when he got there that he didn't want to be like those other CEOs, he wanted to do it differently. And you play that out so beautifully in your book. And I've referenced it so many times everywhere I've gone, because that book is a conversation. It's a wonderful conversation. And red teaming right now is about helping people determine how to really take a strategy and bring it through to execution. You can't do that without conversations that are really substantive and sometimes conflicted.
Right.
But a conflicted conversation doesn't mean it has to be a vitriolic conversation. And that's what I keep trying to push. It's not what's going on the public stage. We see what's going on. It's disappointing to look at it because we look at these leaders and we'd like to look up to them. And you're right. I see people that would make wonderful presidents, but they did something in their past that will get unearthed. And before you know it, they're not going to be the kind of people that will ever be able to survive it. Leadership is messy, and we've got to be allowed to be messy. Look at Winston Churchill. He was extremely messy.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the greatest leaders.
Yeah, and one could argue the fact that he saved civilization. So I look at Rosa Parks. I think of her silent conversation,
Yes.
Just not getting up. And the guy coming over and said, "You will be arrested." And she said, you can do that.
Absolutely.
But I got to do what's right here. And Zelensky right now
Yes.
is the leader of our time. What was his conversation? Please, I don't need a ride. Help me save my. I'm going to hang right here. And everybody followed that leader. They're coming from all over the world to support him. And Ukrainians who are living all over the world, putting their lives in danger, making bold change, one conversation at a time. I think he's remarkable. So,
and a master of conversation, as you say. I mean, he is in many ways, next to his personal courage, his superpower is the way he frames conversations. And I've been struck by this when in the early weeks of the war, when he was going and addressing the leaders and the parliaments, the congresses of all the countries, he was so careful to speak to each one in their story. You talk about stories. When he spoke to the British, he spoke with reference to the Blitz. When he spoke to, the United States, he spoke about freedom from tyranny. When he spoke, every country, he spoke in their narrative and to their story and tied their story to the story of Ukraine. And you could see how it just like cut through and went right to people's hearts and made them act.
Amazing. And what you just described, Bryce, he went to the concern that every one of those countries had lived through.
Yeah.
And he established a common worldview among all of them.
Yep.
To finally get them to level up to what he needed to do. That is an extraordinary gift. Not everybody has it. I will say that in our book, we teach people how to have those conversations. We teach people how to navigate them, how to have a difficult conversation without creating an enemy.
Yes.
how to sustain a relationship at the same time having a different point of view. And it's important, and I believe that everybody needs. I'm still a student of it. I'm a student of leadership. I'm, as I said, 73 years old. I'm still learning. And I really value leaders who care about this stuff and take it seriously. And when you're doing your red teaming, it's a series of conversations.
Absolutely.
To an endpoint.
Right.
We need that. We need that. And people don't understand that the art of a really good conversation, like the one you described with Zelensky, it's so artful. It's so wonderful. And why? Because he prepared.
Right.
He didn't do a flyby. He prepared in the same way Gandhi did when he stood up in front of Parliament.
Absolutely.
This is the kind of stuff that we need people to want to do. So while everybody's dealing with methods and tools and process and all the rest of it, all important, that's all about management, but leadership is all about conversation. That's what I keep telling people. You manage the work, you lead people. You can't manage people. They do not want to be managed. I hate being managed. But they do want to be well led. And let everybody manage their own work. Have a good conversation and let everybody else manage their own work. The reason you have to jump in and manage other people's work, because you didn't have a good conversation. Wasn't clear, they didn't know what to do, and now you're in there doing it for them.
Thank you for tuning in to The Thinking Leader. Check the show notes for more information about the topics covered in this episode. There, you'll also find a link to our free assessment. Click on it right now to find out if you are a red team thinker with a red team culture.